Welcome again to Guadalajara, Mexico, where Paradise Paradox, we're covering the behind the scenes of Anarchapulco.
Anarchapulco nights.
A little background on a few personal stories, a little sexual harassment. What else was there?
Yep, all the crazy stuff that happened that we didn't talk about in our previous episodes, all our personal stories, the trek, the journey of arriving in Acapulco, and a little bit about the interesting people that we met there, all of the crazy weed paranoia, government agent infiltration that was happening, and some beautiful things like that.
All the good stuff.
Let's get right into it.
Subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, send us a tweet, Battle AZ, and Trouble Bubble.
Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. My name's Kurt Robinson.
And my name is Aaron Battle.
Cool. So how's it been going?
Well, I'm still coming down from Acapulco. It's been a couple of weeks, and it was such a shock to me. I mean, the whole thing was just so. I know. I feel like we keep saying this over and over. It was so good that I've actually had to go through a skin shell in 2 weeks to evolve out of who I was and then who I am.
All right, you made like a Pokemon and evolved. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm trying to keep like Pikachu. I want to stay human, but sometimes it's a little difficult when I don't know. You just come across new understandings.
Yeah.
So, I know you had a few experiences that kind of opened your mind a little bit. Well, when I say that, I mean...
The first note on the agenda, I'm going to tell you how this opened my mind.
Right, okay. I know your first episode maybe isn't flow-related, but maybe it is.
It was mind-opening because what happened was... We got into Mexico City because we were taking the bus to Acapulco. We got into Mexico City. Guadalajara, Mexico City, the kind of overnight bus, and then we're a bit confused going all over Mexico City looking for the right bus terminal to get to Acapulco. But on the way, towards Observatorio, the train was like really packed, and this dude is like inching his way close to me, and to my right there are like a couple of gay gentlemen taking the opportunity of being squeezed into a corner to have an intimate moment, which was nice. But then
then you were involved
with a different fellow who wasn't a gentleman at all, because he kept inching closer and closer towards me until I had nowhere else to go, and then he's looking at me with this expression on his face like, yeah, I'm sorry, the train is so full, man. Like, if I had a choice, I wouldn't be right up close to you, but it's full, so what can you do? And then I noticed, his crotch is like directly against my leg, and it starts to get warmer and warmer, and I start repositioning myself 3 or 4 times to try to get away until I have nowhere else to move.
Knee leg or hip leg?
It was, let's see. Well, I'm tall in Mexico, so it was above the knee. But I'm like on my lower thigh.
But the thing was, it was like a 40-minute trip.
Yeah. Well, I was only in this precarious position for about 20 minutes. Okay. So, if sexual assault goes for less than 40 minutes, it barely counts, right?
Doesn't count.
Yeah. So I'm still a frottage virgin. So...
Hang on to that.
Yeah, so at the end, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I just resigned to my fate. I have to try to enjoy this, enjoy the warmth. I can actually feel the head of his penis pushing up against me, and then at the time, I'm like, what is going on like, is this exactly what it seems to be, or is it?
It's probably a little bit hard for everyone else to appreciate how confused you might have been in a situation. But I mean, we were packed.
Yeah.
People the doors weren't shut in. Like people were pushing everyone to get in. Like you couldn't pack more people into the subway.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have known what it was, but obviously after
a few moments reflection, I would have to say yes, I was sexually assaulted. What a grave event. Yeah, you said like Joanna, your wife gets that sort of thing all the time.
It's
I can
quite
only
common
imagine.
on buses and everything.
I'm not quite as pretty as Joanna.
But it hasn't happened when I'm on the bus. But I think women in Mexico need to be strategic with where they stand, who they get on the bus with. I mean, it's quite common that women get on the bus first.
Yeah.
So they can, it doesn't really help when the bus is packed.
Yeah.
But, the Mexican subway system actually allocates 2 carts for women only. So, so it's quite common that, that we have, pig-like men that take advantage of how close, or the fact that they can inch closer to, tourists and take advantage of that.
I think they're taken advantage of.
Well, there was no other chicks on the cart, was there? Like on our train?
I don't think so. Maybe some old women.
So you were the exotic one.
Yeah. It's nice to be exotic for once. It's nice to feel appreciated.
So anyway, that was our episode 1 of our trip to Acapulco.
Yeah, and after that, it was all everything looked better after that. Because once you've been in the gutter, everything seems like a palace.
Well, okay. Other than that, the trip wasn't that bad. I mean, I probably wouldn't. I plan to go next year, so I'm going to try and not catch the bus. Hopefully, we can plan ahead and get some cheap flights down. but I don't even think planes fly direct. I mean, so that's kind of why we went in the bus.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So that was fun. And then, so then we actually arrived in Acapulco, and it was good. Everything was good. And yeah, we went exploring a bit. Then on the second night, which was the first night of a conference for us, we went. We met Christoph Heuermann, and we were hanging out with him. We were like, what are we going to do? Let's walk along the strip. Let's walk home.
Yeah, pretty standard plan. We'll go check out, walk by a few bars, see what happens. Just get amongst the strip in Acapulco. There's a lot of things to see, and we, it completely changes at night. During the day, it seems all pretty relaxed and calm, and sunny, and then at night, it's just lights and bars. Yeah,
it looks like a cheap version of Las Vegas with a lot shittier casinos. And
it was a shame about that. But anyway, we didn't really find that much to do, so we pretty much just kept hanging out in the street. And
yeah, they have like a bungee tower like right out the back of a restaurant, which is kind of cool. Apparently, they didn't apply for a permit or anything. They're just like, yep, putting up a bungee tower. That's the Mexican way. So
it had to be 10 floors, I reckon, at least.
Yeah, pretty serious.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone jump though. Did you?
No, because we waited there for like 20 minutes, hoping that somebody would jump out, because they were standing up there, and there was a crowd gathering, like somebody's going to do this shit. Then they didn't, so that was a bit of a letdown. It
seemed like a thing to do at the time, though. I felt like I needed to give it at least 15 minutes to see who was going to jump or what was going on or what it was all about.
Yeah,
I know you kind of wanted to see someone just fall. I mean, there was a pool down the bottom. But that's the kind of thing with bungee, isn't it? You don't want to see them have a normal standard bungee jump. You kind of want to.
I didn't know that. I didn't know bungee jumping was a spectator sport, like it
was a good
Formula 1 racing. Like, yeah, come on, Shoemaker, crash and burn into that wall. Is that the kind of thing you get from bungee jumping?
There's a lot of people.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people waiting. I mean, I don't know what else do you see. A tourist jump. Screaming, and then they let them down nice and calm. That's boring. Who wants to see that?
Yeah. They don't like grab them back up by their feet.
No, there was a platform with a bar next to it that I think they... It appeared that's where they come in.
I don't know why, but I always pictured that they wouldn't get off at the bottom, that they'd somehow bring them back up to the top. But that would be like, if bungee jumping wasn't scary enough, like getting pulled by your feet back up 10 stories, that would rip your head off.
It's quite a good dare, though. I mean, you'd want a bravery award for doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
considering for what I heard, I mean, you mentioned there was no permission given. I mean, it looks sturdy and everything, but,
yeah.
but who knows?
Yeah, a lot of counterweights and everything. Yeah, so we were like, oh, you know, it can't be that far back to the hotel Acapulco. We'll just walk along the strip. And then on the way, I met this nice young lady. And I was chatting to her for like 5 minutes. I said hello and stopped her, and she's like, "Hi, how's it going?" And she's like 4 feet tall, and maybe 4'6". And Christoph and Aaron were waiting for me there, and I said to this girl, "Oh, do you want to walk with us?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And then I guess about 10 or 20 minutes into our conversation, I actually asked her what she did for a living. And she's like, "Oh, I don't really do anything. I have my ex-husband and I divorced him, and yeah, this is my life." And I'm like, "Really? Is that how it works?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just walk up and down the strip." And I'm like,
Completely checked out.
okay, this is starting to get a little weirder. And then but I continued the conversation with her because I was like, well, she seems nice enough.
I guess I can vouch for you that it didn't, at the time, it didn't seem weird because most Mexican chicks are pretty quite nice and they do give you, time of day.
Yeah.
So it was normal to say hi and have a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't involved in the conversation, so I didn't get the triggers of this is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that uncomfortable because I mean, another 10 or 20 minutes passed, and I asked her again what she did, and she started saying something like, "Oh, well, there's a Canadian guy who I hang around with, and he pays me 1,000 pesos a day to hang out with him." And I'm like, I see. I said, "It's nice work if you can get it."
Follow the money, man. Follow the money.
But I said, "Well, I'm not going to pay you to hang out with you, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I know." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess that's fine then." So,
Pretty standard check, isn't it?
I guess. I don't know. What do you ask a gigolo when you meet a gigolo, prostitute, a call girl? I don't even know.
No, but
I don't know what she was.
Was she a pimp?
She actually pimps out this Canadian dude, this 70-year-old Canadian.
No, I just felt like didn't she invite other friends or something? Wasn't that part of it?
She kept saying stuff about the guy. I don't know what she was talking about. She kept mentioning some dude that walked past that was selling speed or something, and I don't know. I got lost in the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, the point is, Acapulco is quite a little town for adventures. I mean, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into walking down the strip, just saying hi.
Yeah.
It was a funny night. It was cool.
Yeah.
This episode, we wanted to talk about in Acapulco, but I mean, anyone that was there knows what it was about and knows who spoke and what they were talking about and took notes and pretty in contact and all that. What we want to talk about is our personal experience and the adventures that we had and the funny the stories that, probably are individual to us that anyone that might be entertained by our antics might enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. Our own personal experiences, our anecdotes, stuff that's away from the speakers of the conference.
So the informal version of an Acapulco.
Yeah, lent your hair down version. So you had an interesting experience on the beach.
Yeah, well, see, what happened was, you'd hang out and listen to the speakers, and then in the afternoon it was a normal event to go down the beach and watch the sunset, maybe have a few drinks, kind of wind down. Sun gazing, take your shoes off, earth out. That was really good. And there was a couple of guys, we were all down there, earthing out. Most of us did yoga in the morning as well, which was magic because it was completely. It was like a private beach to do yoga on. There was a small group of like 15 of us. So, the afternoon was completely different, full of tourists, full of people trying to sell and everything like that. But, we went down for a couple drinks and we'd chill in. And there's always like every 15 minutes there would be someone that was trying to sell something. But there was an old guy that came up to me and started talking to me. And I like to hear their stories. Like I feel like if you shoot them down straight away, it just... it's uncomfortable. At least we can have a quick chat with somebody, maybe lift their spirits a bit, because that's a hard gig, selling all day, and they're long days. I saw the same guys when I was at 8 o'clock in the morning doing yoga. They were getting ready for the day, and they were there at night, when we were relaxing. So that's a good minimum, 10, 12 hours of trying to sell on the beach. And some of the money that they're receiving, obviously, they're doing it because they have to, and they're not getting paid very well. So sometimes, I like to have a chat to them and see how things are going and, try and explain, what we're doing and what we're all about, because, of course, they see us and it's like, let's hit the tourists for, that massage.
That's pigeon.
Yeah, like 40 peso massage, 300. It's like, come on, I'm Mexican now too. Right? I've been here for a couple of weeks.
Thought.
Well, I did. And I was chatting with this old guy, and the more I spoke to him, he was trying to sell me a scuba diving tour or something. And then he took notice. We had a chat that I've been in Mexico for a few months now, and he said, okay, well, you speak well, but you could speak better. You need to go and get the dictionary or the Spanish books from a Mexican publishing company called Peroa. And he said, this is the best Spanish. It's Mexican Spanish, and leyendo este libro, vas a hablar machín. Which is like...
You're going to speak it like a machine.
Like a Mexican macho man. Right. You're going to speak well. So you know what?
Is that what that means? It doesn't mean machine. It actually means it's like the superlative of macho or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like,
all right, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's like cool. Machín. Or sometimes they say diesel, which is like you're going to be diesel. Like this is like the strong, the alpha male.
Okay.
So
so a machine is
yeah, it is Mexican slang. Diesel, machine.
You're a like, machine that runs on diesel. Got it.
It's the best working Mexican tractor man you can be. The man machine.
Right.
So yeah, this is what he was saying, and I was like, oh cool. We're having a chat. I explained I got a bit of family in Mexico City. I'm now living in Guadalajara, and so we built a little rapport. In this time, I realized, this guy, he's like a Mexican guy, we're gelling, we're having a conversation. He's opening up his culture to me. And I feel like, this is, well, at first it reminded me of my grandfather, my Mexican grandfather, which I really only met in 2008. So it was kind of later in my life, and, we joked about brujeria and stories about witchcraft and all that kind of thing. And I kind of felt like I was talking to like a grandfather role model. That turned into, him sharing some of his passed down knowledge with me. Now, meanwhile, there's a party going on right behind me, up around the pool, and everyone's like, Aaron, let's go. Where, you're going to miss out. Really, that was Kurt saying, I've got to be part of this party. I'm ditching you. I'm leaving you right here. My message was, in 10 minutes.
Aaron, I'm leaving you with an old Mexican man on the beach. Enjoy yourself.
That's cool. Just come back. If I'm not up there in 10 minutes, come and find me.
Yeah, well, I tried to come find you. There's a security guard guarding the beach out the back of the Hotel Copacabana, and he's like, nope, you can't come through here. I'm like, well, my buddy's down there. I need to go talk to him. I need to go find him. And he's like, nope, nobody's down there. which is something you have as a security guard have probably said many times.
Pretty standard. It's like you don't have time to care, and either way, I'm not going to let this guy walk down there when no one's supposed to be down there. I don't care if anyone's down there or not.
yeah. But then it turned out that like I went up and somebody was like, "Oh, you want to go down there? You just need to walk around the block, and you'll find yourself on the beach. The beach is actually federal property." So the hotel Copacabana has no say once you're actually down there. So I just went around the corner, walked around the block, like where the hell am I going? Because it's a rather large block. But I found the beach and went and walked about 500 meters along the beach, and then there you are. I'm like, that security guard lied to me.
When I saw you come over, it looked like you've done a Tough Mudder 20K run. Like, you've done it. It was a big block. I appreciate the effort to come and find me, because I could have been in trouble.
Yeah.
No, it was all cool. Meanwhile, you've come down, and by this point, I'm having a little smoke on the beach with my new grandfather, and I don't know. I remember he was downloading some serious cultural information that I found so. I felt like I was privileged that he was sharing what he was telling me. Like, he was sharing some information that I felt like, his father taught him, or he would have learned just being on the streets in Mexico. Like, this is like, he would have, I think he was in his 70s for sure. Like, he was an older guy and he was still working, so like he's seen a lot. So I'm like, I'm going to listen to him. I felt like I was listening to an elder at this point. And I don't really remember what he said too much. Like, I don't remember what he said other than what I explained to everyone else.
Let me.
Which is a shame.
Let's see. I have these notes here because afterwards, you came up and you're like, "Whoa, man! Check this out. This is the shit. This is the real shit. I got the secret to life here, man. I got the secret to life." And you're like, this guy downloaded his essence inside of me, and now I understand everything about Mexican culture and life. And you told me that this is what I've written down. His name was Joaquin. Secret to life. Why? Tree of life. 100%. Earth trapped in one vine, and that was what was so important that you told me to rip out my notebook and write it down. I don't know what that means.
100% earth trapped in one vine?
Yep. Well, I know what the why part means because you told me.
Yeah, no, it's because I had to check my notes because I was writing things on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I knew that it was like it's ideas that are too big for the language. So. You try and relate them to other pictures, but it's like the complete flow, the flow of like integration into the moment of being everything that you can be. I guess the notes that I had from that experience was ultimate flow, understanding nothing, asking questions, be the child, secret to life, and then it was like consciousness or something.
Consciousness or something. Guys, stop the press. Stop the press. We got the secret to life right here. Consciousness or something.
What I realized was that you have to understand that you are nothing. Like, I think what he was trying to explain to me was like, you appreciate that you know nothing, that you mean nothing, that no matter what you do, it's like there's no actual meaning to it. And it's so ingrained in the fact that there's nothingness is that you don't even know yourself.
You don't even know that you are nothing? Or you're not even aware of yourself?
No, when you embrace that there's nothing that matters, then you realize that what you think that matters is just this like black cloud of your own mind that you think is important, but it's not.
Right.
So he was trying to explain that to me. And he was like, we briefly mentioned the Bible because, Mexico is a very religious country. And what I realized was that the people that wrote the Bible, you can't even understand what they were saying. The whole thing's is a metaphor on a metaphor. The whole thing's...
Yeah, all parables and analogies, yeah.
Well, it's like that.
Allegorical.
It's like that because it appears like that to us. But that would have been real information. Like what I told you to write down was real information. But what does that mean?
Well, you told me to write why, and I know what that means because you said you were there asking him questions like a child, like my nephew does. Why? But why? Dad, why? Dad, why? And every time he would answer until he had answered your question so completely.
Oh, it was brilliant.
That you couldn't say why anymore.
Well, the thing was, he was like, I felt like I was on theatre. He was acting like grandfather, and I was acting like annoying brat child. I was like, all right, well, I need to go now, but why? And then why? And then he kept answering me with good stuff. Like he wasn't even getting upset or anything. He just kept telling me the answer. And then at the very end, he kind of just smiled at me and he pointed to my feet. And I was like, well, okay. I'm looking down like I didn't see anything. Just I'm on the beach. I didn't step on anything. Like I didn't tip over anyone's drink. That happened. Sorry about that. Like what's a go? Why are you looking at my feet? And then he started laughing at me because I was standing on like what looked like all this uneven beach. He was standing on this perfectly smooth, almost like a butterfly of like just 3 circles, completely round, as if there was some kind of sphere of pure energy just hovering above the moon where the moon lander landed. And what you'd think the pattern would be from the moon lander in the soft moon dust was what he created as he was explaining all this information to me.
An hypothetical moon lander.
Well, that's what I imagined. I saw this big smooth pattern of just, this just big pad around his feet.
Yeah.
Around my feet was a complete mess. Of this drunk guy stumbling around going, what, why, when, again?
So you said it was kind of like if he had to fight, then he knew exactly what he was standing on, like he was standing on perfectly even ground.
Yeah, the whole time that he was talking to me, he was like patting the floor, as in he was acknowledging his surroundings. I was just off thinking about the party and thinking about what I heard that day, and then passed me back that cigarette. It was like I wasn't there in the moment listening to him. It was after that you said that, everything just came back in. And that's when I realized I haven't been here. This guy's talking to me and giving me his time, and I haven't given him my time. And then I realized, well, then, what's going on here? Then he kind of laughed at me, like as if, you're a kid. You're not conscious of what you're doing. Like the whole time I'm telling you solid information and consciously, outlining my perimeter. You haven't. And then he tried to fight me. He nearly knocked, like a 70-plus-year-old dude nearly knocked me over.
Was he really? I would have said he was like 60, maybe 55.
He definitely had at least double my age. So he was an experienced dude. And, he showed me a few different things. And at that point, I completely came into him like, you know what? That all happened as Kurt's running over. And I was like, Kurt, write this down quickly. It's all good. I'm going to come up in a minute. And then I think I stayed down there for another half an hour after that.
Yeah.
Because he started showing me, like, I said, okay, well, you obviously know something. Teach me. Like, like I felt like Karate Kid. Like, I'm now your student. What have you got to teach me? And then he started telling me, like, just Mexican men, like a man, I guess, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a cultural understanding that any kid that grew up in Mexico would know as a Mexican man. And obviously I'm not that Mexican man that I appear to be. So he said, well, you want to live here? Here's the information. And then he started showing me different postures, different ways to smoke, different stances and how to fight, which was incredible, because what I began to appreciate was not that maybe the fighting stance was anything beneficial as a method of fighting, but the way that he told me to apply it, to use it, would just kick everyone's ass straight away. Like there's no punches needed. There was no need for it because you are so dominant in that moment. Your stance from like the cultural knowledge from his father and his father, just the natural way that a Mexican man would like just puff. just pose and like, you don't want to mess with me.
Yeah.
That defuses everything.
I always refer to this story from Zen philosophy, the story of the emperor's cock. You know this story, right? I must have told you this story.
Run it by me again for our fans.
Okay, so the emperor goes to a cockfight and he sees his roosters fight and he says, "Wow, those roosters are really powerful. They like lay into each other. What a noble animal." And he says, "I want to get involved in this sport." So he goes and he goes to the rooster farm or the rooster market, looks around at all these different roosters, and he sees this big one, all puffed up and walking around like a cock of the roost, intimidating the other roosters and all this. And he's like, "That's my boy." He buys the rooster. He finds the best cock trainer in all of China and sends the rooster to this trainer. And after a month, the emperor calls on him and he says, "Is he ready?" And the trainer's like, "Well, not quite. He still hasn't learned to harness his strength." The second month he comes back and says, "Well, no, he's not ready. He's just he's full of hot air. He's always wandering around, expending his energy pointlessly, without purpose. He's not ready." The next month he comes back and the emperor says, is the rooster ready? And the trainer says, "Maybe." So the emperor puts the rooster into a fight, and the rooster has this supreme stillness. So calm that the other rooster can't even bear to look into his eyes without flying into a fit. The rooster won every fight, never had to actually fight.
So that's what this guy taught me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he taught me. It was cool because I felt like he respected me enough to say, "You're going to need this." And then he showed me, firstly, to come back to the moment, outline your perimeter, understand where you are, what you're doing, and then just a few postures, a few breathing exercises, and when there's nothing left, how to apply one move.
Watching us again at the Paradise Paradox. Watch us on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Watch us on YouTube, like us on Facebook. Tweet us on Twitter, and listen to us on iTunes or Pocket Casts.
So I got schooled on the beach.
Schooled by 100-year-old man.
I call him Granddad. I don't feel bad then. I feel like it was like a parental smackdown.
Right.
But it was like at this point I realized, man, I'm running late. Like, Kurt's come down and check on me. I've been gone for at least close to an hour now, so I better head back up. And like, I'm cool. I got my backpack on. I got like half a beer that I found. I'm cruising back up to the party back at the pool, and security looks at me like, "No, it's cool. You're talking down there with an elder. You're sweet. Like, no issue. Like, come on up, man. Back to the party. Like, you had your fun." And I mentioned, like, I saw the security guard, and he was just so cool. He was just so straight up like, get back to the party.
I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, we're talking the big guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I said to him, you know what we're doing here, right? Well, firstly I said to him, "Look, I met a guy. Sorry, man. I was just down the beach. Reminded me of Granddad. Had to hear what he had to say." And he was like, "Don't worry about it." And I was like, and then I said, "You know what we're doing here? Like, you know what the party's about." And I said, like, I don't know, like, I'm a little tipsy at this point, and I said to him, we're celebrating because we just won. Like, this is the celebration. Like, we just realized together there's a whole new way of doing things, and we're all doing our bit. And he was like, "Yeah, I know. You guys are like gonna like change governments and shit, right?" Like, in a Mexican cool, like, pues claro, ya sé. Todo está bien, tú tienes tu fiesta, and you know, do you have to do you work? And I was like, exactly. And then he said, who was the last guy that was rapping? Because by this point, it's like everyone's finished, like all the bands are done. I'm just heading back up to the party, and he was like, who was the last guys that were just rapping? And I missed it. So and then you run over and like, Aaron, you missed it. I was like, what did I miss?
Because
like shit. What happened? What did I do?
What happened was Nima V finished his set. And then Rob Hustle got up and he's like, yo, to any true lyricists out there, I need you up on stage. Come on. And he's like, yeah, all the MCs. And by that time, I just walked up to this beautiful girl and got blown out. Or she was just like, didn't react to what I was saying at all. I don't know if she was shy or what. But the thing was, just by starting to try to pick up a girl, my state changed. My pupils dilated like ping, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Ultimate flow.
Yeah, ultimate flow, like straight on, like a whirlwind coming out of nowhere. And so he's saying this stuff about lyricists, and I start walking up. And on some level, I'm kind of hesitant. I'm like, should I really be doing this? And on another level, I'm like, yes, I have to do this. I have to get up and rap with these guys. And my legs are already moving. So by that stage, I know I'm committed. And I get to the perimeter of the crowd, and Rob Hustle's like, yeah, this guy knows what it's all about, so come up here, man. So I get up on stage with the guys, and it was cool because let's see, Nima V dropped a verse and Rob Hustle dropped a verse. Then this dude, I think his name was James, he did a freestyle as well. Sarah Ziegler did a freestyle as well, which nobody was expecting.
I watched the video. It blew me away. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on?
She's one of the, she volunteered to help organize the event. And she's also a poet. She's quite a phenomenal woman. And I get the mic, and then I'd just been sitting, waiting there patiently. They hand me the mic, and I just start busting this crazy freestyle. People were telling me later I sounded like I was Jamaican or something, like I was toasting or doing raga or something. I don't even know, dance hall, something like that. I don't even know where it came from.
You were channeling, man.
Yeah,
You're feeling that flow.
Came out of nowhere. Hopefully we'll get up the footage of that so you guys can see it. And then, of course, Jeff Berwick dropped a verse from like 20 years ago, this old school rhyme, Canadian rapper, busting it like old times. So that was cool. And then what happened? I gave you you were like, man, I need to tell this security guard who just performed. So I'm like scribbling Nima V's and Rob Hustle's name on the back of one of our business cards.
Business card.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I was handing cards out with who was playing and, look us up.
Yeah.
And all that. Who knows whether they did or not. But, I mean, it was cool that they showed interest. And that's what I was excited about. It's a shame. Well, I mean, the video came out great. The video is good. Like, it's a good square shot. Everyone that gets up and raps, like, it's perfect. It was like being there. But anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, just like you weren't on the beach that night. Yeah. So, actually, I remember the one of the nights we talked to one of the taxi drivers, and we were telling him what the conference is about, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm with you guys.
Everyone seemed to be, I mean, Mexico's all about it. I mean, I think you mentioned that, you like Mexico because it's like there's already a decentralized government structure here.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, but every like town has their own president. And it really is decentralized. Like Mexico haven't come together the way that, for example, like the USA has.
Yeah, the federal government is more or less incompetent. They have a limit to their power because you can always bribe a police officer. So, in a sense, I mean, it's not decentralized exactly, but it's not too far off it compared to somewhere that has more organized government like the United States or Australia.
Yeah, anything we're used to.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting now. Acapulco is an example in itself because the way the police don't have that same presence. And if no one said anything, I probably wouldn't even have noticed. I would have, it's like any other town.
Yeah.
But knowing that there's no police there, you're like, well, where are the police? Or what's there in their place as well?
Yeah, well, when we left the bus station and when we were leaving Acapulco, we saw a bunch of municipal police just hanging out, and they're all like cooking a grill on the side of the footpath or something. And apparently they're all getting paid to do that, just hang out.
Well, I look at Mexican police like it's like a welfare system. It's like none of them want to be policemen.
Yeah.
Like I know the policemen that I know, they're not happy being a policeman, but how else are you going to earn money and look after your family when there's no employment? And even if there is employment, that minimum wage is like, what, $5, $7 a day. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And they roll through the military vehicles sometimes, like packed with 12 or 15 soldiers rolling down the streets of Acapulco. It happens here occasionally in Guadalajara too. The rumor is the official story is that they're there to keep the tourists safe, or make the tourists feel safe. But everybody, of course, all the tourists who come in are like, why is there a military presence?
It's a bit hard to feel safe as a tourist when you're not used to seeing fully loaded, packed, like hardcore weaponry, just cruising through traffic.
Yeah.
Because I mean, these aren't little pistols like your normal police. I mean, we're talking about like super machine guns of all types, or even like the shotguns that the security guards at the banks have. I mean, we're talking pretty serious firepower. I mean, I'm not up on my weapons, but it's confronting if you're not used to it.
Yeah. So on Bitcoin Sunday, Roger Ver got up and he was saying stuff like, he said, I know there are probably some government agents in this room. That wouldn't be a surprise at all. That would be exactly what we expect. And he said, think about it. If you are a government agent, think about what we're doing here. We actually just want peace. We want liberty. We want to have a good time, express ourselves in whatever way we see fit. We don't want to harass anybody. So think about who the bad guy really is.
That was a solid moment.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of just, they felt that.
Yeah.
You're right.
People cheered and said, yes, that's exactly what this is all about. But I think that kind of seeded a thought for a little paranoia, especially when people are running around, maybe having a few tokes on their Acapulco gold.
A little dream time.
Yeah.
It was an interesting, it was, let's say, seed, because everyone was super comfortable sharing ideas and communicating with each other, sharing contacts and everything, and then all of a sudden it's like, who is that guy? I don't know him. Does he check out? Is he saying what he does? Do I feel like he's meaning? Like, does he mean what he's saying? Did that really happen? Everyone, I mean, from a personal point of view, that seed was there, and it was like, you know what? I don't know how I'm coming across now, because it should change the vibe. That little 1%. That grew throughout the day.
Yeah. Well, to some extent, I compared it to like two stoners sitting in a room, and maybe the same social circle, and they're in a small room, and there's smoke wafting through the air, and one of them starts to get paranoid and looks at the other guy through the corner of his eyes, and the other guy is thinking, "Oh shit, who is this motherfucker? Who is it? Like, is this guy, a narc? Why is he? I could swear he's looking at me at the corner of his eyes."
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, what's in my drink?
From there.
Who served my drink? Where is my drink? I don't know. It's like didn't get that bad. But it was interesting. It was the night went till 6 a.m. that next morning, and we were all firing. Everyone was having a great time. But there was some. It was after 3 days, so there were some people that you might not have seen throughout the 3 days, that you might not have noticed, and all of a sudden, because everyone's so friendly, you were meeting people for the first time 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning after 3 days of party, and it was like, and then you got these ideas of like, I don't know who I need to be talking to. Like, should I be sharing all my views on taxation and my business models and perhaps my views on capitalism, and not even begin with religion. It was like you're sharing your mind with people. It's a little bit difficult not to question if they're sharing exactly what they're thinking as well. Anyway.
Yeah, well, you did tell me one story. I don't know, maybe we should edit this out, but you were saying... I
hope not.
Okay. You were telling me a story about how you were in a conversation with a few guys, and you were talking about the kind of moment that you started to switch on to the state of the world, maybe that government can never reach its ideal function, or some other state of awareness, like about conspiracy theories, questioning official stories or something like that.
Yep. I feel like everyone has their moments. Their moments when they feel like perhaps the system let them down, or they encountered, an authority where it didn't quite go the way that should have been correct, wrongly accused, or what have you. Everyone's got something, or that little light bulb that said, you know what, there's a better way of doing this.
Yeah.
Or why am I doing this? Maybe more so the whys. And then when you realize that no one else around you, friends or family, are asking the same why, they just accept it. These moments is what I was sharing, because I find, that's a good character versus character. Let's have a look at, where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And
they're fascinating. They're like, when you hear
very
people's perspective from that, like sometimes you capture some of that potency, the consciousness that they had in that moment.
The first time that the cops beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Picking up a mate from the police station the next morning, knowing that you couldn't do anything. Things like, these are like real stories. And I wanted to hear a few real stories. And I felt like there was a couple people that I met later in the
obviously just about everybody had some fascinating stories.
Of course. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But, I met a few people that I was like, you know what? I don't feel like you feel what I feel, or what I feel like everyone else is feeling. And then I was wondering whether they've been there the whole time. That was my, maybe not paranoia, but, I was a little bit let down by that. Because, everyone's got a good story. And when you don't tell me a good story, I get upset.
That's not what you were saying at the time.
No, I was on fire.
And what happened to this guy's eyes? Were this guy's eyes human?
Okay, no, I didn't ask him this story, but I think this was probably seeded by the elder on the beach. That could have been an angel or a ghost or something, but he gave me direct information. It's funny now to me, but he told me to come back to the moment. And the more that I came back to the moment, I started realizing things like, I started questioning, like, all of a sudden I came back from the beach wondering, how have I been standing? What's my posture like? Have I got weird tourist posture, or have I got like Mexican Machin diesel posture? And, I'm wondering, how white am I on the inside? I don't know. Like, how Mexican am I? Or, because you pick up these different characters.
How Welsh are you in your heart?
Well,
how many chambers of your heart are Welsh?
There's going to be at least one.
Okay.
Because my granddad's Welsh, at least a little. So I started questioning other people. I'm looking at them, and I'm for a less of a better term, judging people how they're standing. Especially in a reactive mode at 6 o'clock in the morning after we doubled up party from the night before. Now we're doing it again, and all of a sudden, like, people started showing some true colours. And although, that's all cool because we were very free and welcoming to everybody, I think I experienced the presence of a reptilian. So all those David Icke fans out there, I can vouch that I don't know whether it was really a reptilian or whether it was me manifesting my own vision of what I thought a reptilian looked like. But how did I describe it to you? I was like, Kurt, you wouldn't believe what I just saw. Like, this is another
Yeah, you
trip
said
out.
you saw the guy's eyes change. Suddenly they were vertical, like a cat or like a reptile's eyes. And you at that moment for that evening, you were convinced that I couldn't question it.
No, you did question it, and I told you, no, I'm 100%.
Yeah. But then the next day you were like, maybe it wasn't exactly like that.
Well, I got
But I'm not sure if it was just because you were doubting your own perceptions, or because it was just a fantasy.
So now we need to ask the question, why? So obviously my state of mind was altered. I was tired. I've been drinking for several days. So that is not a reliable source of information to start with. Then I've got plants growing out my ears of different ideas, and I've just got complete overload of knowledge because we just came off like 3 days of solid information, not to mention the stories that everyone's telling. So keeping that all in mind, I've kind of discredited my own story. But at the time, I was 100% convinced. But the question why is, why did I see a reptilian? And what is a reptilian? Because I'm not talking about I saw a lizard man. I'm talking about I saw people in their basic reactive modes. And of course, I mean, anyone tired is going to be, snap at things and react. Well, it's going to be pure reaction. There's no conscious decision making. After I spoke to this grandfather-like figure that told me to come back to the moment and pay attention to these little factors of what people are displaying within myself and everyone else. So when I say that my mind, my perception gave me the image of a reptilian, it could have just been the light that was reflecting off a glazed eyeball that looked like a cat's eye, which at the time, it is what it was. I saw a reptilian, but that was just my own reptilian mind presenting that, projecting it across onto somebody from a basic, in the moment, what are you saying? And seeing that light curve on the eye. And of course, I indulged in the experience and said, "Oh, reptilian."
So you didn't actually point your finger at them and declare it to the world and start screaming like a banshee.
No, that was in my mind, and then I told you later.
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right, you controlled yourself. You didn't.
No, well, I just came off this download of solid, primal, cultural, ancestral information. Yeah. So I'm walking around, I think I even mentioned to a few people, bro, posture, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Where am I? and it was cool. But I mean, my experience was then defined by all the ideas and the exhaustion of the night, plus the what we're consuming. So there's a few mixed drinks and things, amongst other drinks.
Right.
Had to be there. Had to be there. No,
at one stage, this is all hearsay. We never got this information directly from the source. I didn't think, but there was apparently there was somebody at the conference who was going up and introducing themselves by saying, "Hey, I don't pay any taxes. How about you?" Which, if it was genuinely an IRS agent, would have to be, the most poorly trained. But we're talking about government bureaucrats, so it wouldn't be particularly surprising.
No, well, I mean, I think it was very easy for people to misunderstand what was said.
But come on, let's be real. I mean, like Roger Ver said, chances are there was a government agent there, probably from the United States government. Like the first anarchist conference in the Americas, the first anarcho-capitalist conference, and we're talking about people who are well-organized, intelligent. We're not talking about people who are just throwing Molotov cocktails or putting up signs and flicking people off on the street or declaring that that the government are pigs or something like that. We're talking about people with carefully reasoned arguments, people who are commanding independent media on the internet. So it's entirely realistic that there was government agents at this event. We just, other than Aaron's insightful reptilian hallucination, we have no idea who they are.
He could have been the guy. he might have saw me as like, this guy is too much. I don't know what this. I've been trained for this shit. I can't deal with this guy. This is too much, and just cracked. I don't know. I hope he was the dude, because then he knows what we're all about. Because yeah, like you're saying, everyone is extremely capable, educated, intelligent, and well thought out. Now, these aren't ideas that were just picked up by a drunken pub conversation. These aren't just thoughts or ideals or
we're not talking about angry, misguided teenagers here. We're talking about people from all walks of life who've seen a lot of shit and have a lot of experience. Interpreting
some philosophy that has been, we're talking ages, like ages of information that this has been, understood and portrayed and now interpreted and applied in a new age, a new world.
Yes.
With technology.
Yeah, exactly. And now, people have been starting to touch on these subjects for a long time, like Adam Smith, Frederick Bastiat, Lysander Spooner. People have been starting to look at these subjects, and now we actually have the platform. In the past, it probably wasn't extremely palatable for media outlets or for say, universities to have anarchists in their ranks talking about what they talk about. But now, we don't need them. We have the internet. Yeah,
decentralized systems, different mobile platforms. We're talking about complete direct control of information. I get crazy thinking about trends, about how now the concept of not being able to manipulate the past. And you shared with me a very nice quote.
Yeah, the George Orwell quote would always come back to, he who controls the past controls the future. He who controls the present controls the past. And this is like, if you look at government schools, who teaches you about history? The government teaches you about history. But now, like you mentioned, how Bitcoin and blockchain technologies relate to this in an interesting way.
Well, the majority of us still think about blockchain technology as a way to trade or the way to store value, and that's all well and good. But we're talking about an information source that's going to be documenting everything in real time as you want it to, which is able to be reflected on or reported on, and that's going to give access to all information of all time and accurate, because you can't change what happened, because it happened. So now we're going to have access to, the example that I used was in the movie Interstellar, and how it was very interesting where they have in the opening scenes about the moon landing and what actually happened, and the textbook that they'll teach in the schools and the information that was being taught to the children. And it went from a normal understanding today that we landed on the moon and we took some nice photos, we went for a little run around, and it was all lovely back in, was it 59? No.
60.
69. And now...
Apollo 11.
And then they show the, in the movie, this hypothetical idea of where that was just a big propaganda stunt to win a war, and now they're changing the textbooks to show, to show a new generation of the tactics that a strong America could have utilised.
I did see someone on a Facebook comment claimed that her children are already being taught this stuff in school.
You did tell me about that.
Yeah.
That's so...
I'll dig up the comment. It was interesting, yeah.
So now I don't know what to believe. We've got to ask why. What could have happened? What motives are there between both cases? But the technology that we have now is going to be information completely decentralized that is what it is and can't be changed. So the concept of being able to control the past, or having control in the past to have the future, that's out of here, because there's no control anymore. The information's out and the knowledge is available.
Yeah.
And what's gonna come out of this is gonna have individuals being able to choose what they want to believe based on what information is going to be presented, which is going to be everything's going to be available.
So I wonder if, in 50 years, a historian might look back and they might divide the past. There's a definite distinction between prehistory and history. Well, they might divide it between pre-blockchain and blockchain, because it's going to be such a huge difference in determining a sequence of events.
Yeah. Dates become irrelevant, because we're talking about.
Let's get a blockchain address instead of.
Well, why would you want a time on a calendar that doesn't even checksum? It's like, forget about that. Let's talk about how many hashes that happen to go.
Yeah.
Let's run with something real. Like, I don't know, simple Aztec calendar. Don't believe it was theirs, but they ran on base 20. And, series of numbers that we can't even compute. It's so alien to us. And, and they're supposed to be human as well. I don't know. Technology, it is going to change everything. And we're on that changeover now, which is super exciting, because we can predict, but no one's really going to know what's going to come out of this now.
Real shit. All right, this has been the Paradise Paradox. My name's Kurt Robinson.
My name's Aaron Battle.
So press like, press subscribe, press comment, leave us an interesting story if you were at Anarchapulco. Tell us what happened, or tell us if you're coming next year. And hit us up on Twitter at Triple Bubble.
At BattleAZ.
And stay cool.
Stay conscious. Peace.
Peace.
Press like, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on